We're back.
And we're back. We say that every week, John.
We do.
We should say, and we're forward.
And we're back in front of them.
We're kind of flipped around.
Yes. We're not using Zoom this week, so we're a bit. I've got to look at myself.
We're a bit discombobulated.
We're crisscrossed.
I guess that keeps our eyes looking sort of crossed.
The two Johns, we just came to Melbourne Airport the other day, and I was walking out, and they've got a new cafe there called the Two Johns.
The Two Johns. Ta-da!
Which is quite funny.
How is everyone?
So welcome, guys.
Welcome,
everybody.
The peoples.
Yeah. So intuitive guidance. We've done a couple of readings the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Rach.
Hey, Rach.
There's one of the readings right there.
Welcome back to the madness.
Yes. Trees. Teresa. That was my sister's name is Teresa, and I was at her wedding on Saturday night, which was quite fun up in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, that brought up a few of the symbolic representations. Speaking of which, I had to drive my son's car there, and I was like, all of life is basically a reflection. They say as above, so below, as within, so without. So the whole universe is reflected inside of ourselves. So anything we see in the outside universe, it's a reflection of the inside universe. And so I was driving my son's car because he wanted a drink, and it's a little bit squeaky under the engine. A little bit older car, and I pulled up, and all my cousins and stuff were there, and I was feeling a bit embarrassed, and I'm like, oh, well, and then I was like, okay, as within, so without. It's like, so what does this mean? What am I embarrassed of? I'm embarrassed of when we do a training called the threefold consciousness or threefold flame, which is the Father, the Divine Father, Divine Mother, and Divine Child within yourself. That's the basic representation. It can be any other three-based system: thoughts, words, and actions, mind, body, soul, whatever you like. But it was like when my child, the Divine Child, plays and that, he's a little bit more outrageous than most. He's a little bit more rah-rah.
I don't know.
He's a little bit more rah-rah.
I think I get a pretty good run for its money.
And the embarrassment was, he's a bit rough and tumble. Like you can hear in my voice because he likes to have a bit of a chat at times. Mm-hmm. And that was a representation. So
like the other night when we went out.
So we go out and that'll get a bit, watch out if you're on the dance floor, I might come and jump on your back when you're 6'2".
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Hello. People are like, the fuck is this guy? Get him the fuck away from me.
This big giant guy in his fucking suit. Everyone, oops, we've lost. We've got a poor wireless connection. Okay, 1 second, guys, if you can still hear us.
You did a poor wireless connection.
This has been happening a bit lately. Sorry, guys, if you can still hear us. We're just waiting for the wireless to reconnect. So, so if you can still hear us, we'll keep talking just in case. It's paused, is it?
Yeah.
Just type the message in, just say bad wireless. Reconnect from
wireless. What's that symbolic of, John?
Symbolic of computers.
Can still see you. Okay, cool. Great. Well, fuck it. We'll keep going. Hello, everyone.
Hopefully you can still hear us as well. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
We'll let Facebook do
we don't know why. We normally use Zoom. I think it could be they were just using Facebook this week. So, so symbolically, anything inside, anything that you see in the outside that annoys you, that, bugs you, anything like that, it's a representation. The universe inside is a representation of the outside. This is why we say be the change. This is the real core of be the change. So the things you want to see changed on the outside, they're reflected in you somehow. And this is what the intuitive guidance and symbolic representation is all about. So I heard his squeaky engine and it had a squeaky fan belt or whatever, one of the pulleys or whatever. And that's about his drive and his motivation. And because mine's a little bit outrageous, I sort of sometimes I was up until yesterday anyway, getting embarrassed about that, but every, they say there's one destination, but there's many paths. That means, there's one final destination, which we call ascension, which some people call enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. It's the same for everyone, but there's so many paths. There's as many paths as there is people. So each of them is unique. A lot of them cross over. So it's about, for me, it was about not getting embarrassed about the fact that we're outraged. So these are the little things that pop up and show us. So these are what we like to share with you. So if there's things that annoy you, if there's things that you get, there's negative emotions you have about certain things, there's body conditions. I did a bit of a reading for Rachel this morning, and there was a lot of bone issues, bone breaking, snapping and stuff like that. So bones often represent resentment. And so there's all this resentment build up in the background from circumstances. She's not a resentful person, but resentment build up over the circumstances because of what other people have done or, manipulated or whatever else. So these negative emotions can build up in the background in our emotions and cause a lot of physical problems. And these are the ones that we like to help people with the most because they get the biggest aha moments out of them.
So, what annoys you? I know what's annoying me right now, John.
What's that?
This fucking trying to reconnect.
Don't worry,
Video.
It's still working.
It's still working. All right, good.
Just ignore the messages that are in front of
Ignore
you.
the messages in front of you.
The ones that are put up by the media. They're not true. Ignore the untrue messages. There it is right there. Stop paying attention to what the news says and what the media says and start listening to what's actually happening. So, any questions out there? Any statements about things that annoy people? If you've got issues, health issues anywhere, things like that. It's just basically we help to guide your intuition. We don't do the general readings. We don't just go, can I just have a...
I have seen a couple of people have asked, can I get a message or, a sign or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't, that's not what we do.
Well, yeah, not on here.
Not on here though.
This is more for intuitive guidance. The guidance is for our intuition to work with your intuition, for you to start to learn how to read the messages, how to read what's going on in your body and in your life symbolically and what's going on in the world, things that annoy you. If you get annoyed by the government, you think governments are all fucked up or whatever, It's like you're governing. Who's the governor in your body? Your liver is the governor. It's in the meridian system. You've got the liver and gallbladder together. That's the governor. That's supposed to direct your chi energy around your body. So you've got a problem with your own governing of your own life. That's one of the most likely ones, or you're letting other people in your family govern you, things like that. So there's a reflection, but it's not necessarily the same way. If you get upset with slow drivers, maybe you're going too slow on driving your path.
So Kimber's commented, what annoys me is liars.
Okay, so where are you lying to yourself? This is what you've got to ask yourself, and usually it's on the inside. So maybe you're lying, your feelings, your thoughts are lying to your feelings, your head's lying to your heart. Your heart's saying, I don't want to be in this relationship, or I don't want to do this job. And your feelings are saying, another thing. So this is when you go, okay, I'm going to stop lying about my feelings. I'm going to stop lying about my emotions. I'm going to start letting them out more and more. It's like, are you lying? Are you lying when you say, I'm all good with something and you're not? So your head often lies to your heart or your gut. So these are the three. You've got thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And the emotions are always more personal. So that's the lower three chakras. That's what we call the inner child and the soul. That's more personal. Everything's personal down there. The feelings, which is the heart, which is roughly related to the divine masculine. And that's our courage. That's the lion within. That's more about feelings. This doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. It's less personal. Emotions are much more personal. I don't like this. I don't like that. Whereas feelings are, this doesn't feel nice, the vibe here is not nice. That's the subtle difference. It takes quite a while to distinguish between feelings and emotions, but the simple way of identifying it is it's much more I when it's in the emotions. And so you might be saying that you're happy with something, or your head's lying to your heart, or vice versa.
Kim has just said that she has stage 4 kidney disease. I don't know about.
Is that-
I don't know if I can answer the. Am I going to be able to deal with not doing dialysis or not? But perhaps it's to do with something like that.
Okay, so the kidneys. Look, we're not going to give
We're not
any
doctors.
medical advice, and to say whether you'll be able to deal with not doing dialysis. What we can say is the kidneys and bladder go together. So fear and being pissed off are the two things that are going to drain the energy from the kidney and bladder meridian. And when I say kidney and bladder, I'm talking about meridian here, which is the Chinese medicine where the acupuncture lines. But they govern the emotions. The emotion that drains the kidneys is fear. Besides all the physical stuff, the kidneys are filters. So all the pollutants, you've got to get rid of polluted thoughts. You've got to get rid of polluted feelings. These are the toxins that you have to get rid of: negative feelings, negative thoughts, negative emotions. But primarily for the kidneys, it's fear, and it's subconscious fear. It's not conscious fear. It's how you're functioning, not willing to say your truth, not wanting to piss people off. All the little knots that we have are all fears. So start to ask yourself. And one of the things I say a lot in my readings, go, okay, there must be a lot of fear. I seem to function from fear all the time, but I don't know how to let it go, and I don't know how to forgive these people, and I don't know how to let go of this resentment, but I want to let go of it. I really want to, and I don't know how. So show me, universe, give me a connection here. Show me how to let go of it, please. And it's like, it's got to be genuine. All of this, positive. I have positive thoughts, and it's not genuine. It causes, it's like Abraham says in Abraham Hicks, it causes two vibrations. One is you're saying, yeah, I'll forgive you, and the other one is, I don't fucking forgive you.
I hate you.
So instead say, look, I really want to forgive, or I really want to let go of this fear, and I don't know how. Universe, infinite consciousness, show me how to do this. Really, really want to, and I'm struggling with. And that brings in the help, that connection to the universe.
And I was just going to say, whilst you're doing that, don't focus on the action or the circumstance or the parameters or what happened. That's not what you're asking for the guidance on, right?
No, you're doing this internally.
You're doing this internally within you.
So the forgiveness is to release, because when we hold non-forgiveness, in whatever form we hold it, judgment, resentment, all these things, we hold that person imprisoned in our body. They're imprisoned in our cells. They're imprisoned in our energy system. And that takes up space in our life. So when you forgive, it's not to forget, it's not to condone, it's to get them out, it's to release them and leave. If there is any vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. This is a biblical saying. If there is any vengeance, the universe will take care of it. That person will do it in this lifetime or the next or 100 lifetimes from now. It doesn't really matter. It'll balance itself out. But while you're holding these negative emotions, especially because they're the hardest ones for us to see, because the emotions are so much more deeper for most of us as we get older, we've got to ask ourselves, and we've got to genuinely use the tools that we share on Facebook. Does it feel light? Do I have resentment? Oh yeah, okay, that feels light. Or for me, that I just felt heavy, which is fucking amazing. Because I've been working a lot on resentment lately, and a lot of hidden resentments I had about my accidents, and I've just got to know. So that was really good. So my work's been going well. But yeah, so when you get a yes and a no answer, this is the intuition speaking.
Tool number one.
Tool number one. This is the primary we go back to. So enlightenment. You'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. These are all the same thing. They're written in every different religion.
Yeah.
If you feel lighter, you expand, your aura expands. You'll sit up a bit straighter. Kinesiology is basically this. This is what kinesiology is. So as you expand, that's the truth. The truth expands, and the lie will contract, or the negative will contract. And so you can watch your body, and it'll sit up. It'll hunch over a little bit,
leading nicely into the next one.
And so this is the primary tool, the intuition, and this is where especially when you're getting into personal stuff, it's really hard to read. So you got to get really subtle with this. It's a very easy tool. You can do it like that.
Yeah.
But the ego can learn it and use it against you very quickly as well. So it takes quite a while to master.
Okay, Lorraine Savage. Hey guys, what are your views on scoliosis? It's this next comment I think. It's like when I walk, my top half is bent forward.
Okay, so if the top half is bent forward, scoliosis is generally the zigzag, and that can be anything. Mostly, I see most of that. This is one of the ones that I've been working on for over 20 years. It's mostly chakras. So you're pushing the front of the chakra out, the back of the chakra forward. So if your top half's bent forward, that means you're pushing yourself either from the heart, from the throat, or from the third eye.
Yeah.
And this way you see people, they're walking around all day. They're pushing themselves. They're not listening to their intuition. They're not listening to their guidance. They're trying to force themselves. And sometimes that comes from the point of they started doing that in a positive way because they were holding back too much.
Yeah.
You see the same thing. Some people are walking back,
leaning back,
and their legs are right out in front of them.
It's like the legs are trying to run away from them.
If you just see it as all the different chakras, you've got the 5 energy centers opening here. So if your top's leaning forward, you're pushing yourself and you're not listening to your emotions enough. So if you've got that forward bend going on, you're pushing yourself mentally, you're pushing yourself in your higher will, and you're pushing yourself on a heart level, and you're trying to make things happen.
Yeah.
Stop pushing so much and start letting the emotions join in a little bit more. And this is how we say it. We always say, use the words. Don't just think any of this stuff. Say, look, I don't know. Use words like, I don't know. It seems like, all of that sort of stuff. So, it seems like I'm pushing myself. Is that true? And then that allows a space for the universe to answer and join in with you. So you're pushing yourself mentally, you're pushing yourself. If it's, you can really see where the lean comes from, to see either one chakra or multiple chakras that people are pushing themselves from, or holding themselves back. And then if you've got the scoliosis, the part of the threefold flame, the threefold consciousness we do, you've got the masculine, feminine, and that's the caduceus. I don't know if you know what that is. That's the doctor's symbols that they use, where the two snakes going around in the wing at the top. That's the chakras, and that's the masculine, feminine up the spine. So sometimes the scoliosis, when it's left and right, means you've got the masculine or the feminine side flowing, but not the other one, and because it zigzags around and through the meridian, through the chakras. Sorry. And so I've been having quite a lot of fun with that today. I mean, stop. Oh, there it goes.
The sensations.
The sensations that go down your spine and down the back of your neck. And so the 3 lines, the 3 nadis, they call them, or something like that in yoga. So it's the masculine, feminine. They zigzag around. And so when there's blockages in the chakras or in the masculine, feminine aspect, and then you've got the central aspect, which is the soul and Christ consciousness. They flow up and down. Here it goes again. So yes, I've had a bit of a blockage behind my solar plexus and behind my navel on both sides, and I've been working on that quite a lot lately. Now those lines are flowing, and there is a sensation. There's a orgasmic sensation that flows up and down those meridians, and so this is how the chakras, how the meridians and that flow through our system and govern us. And this is they show us lots of signs. But that's, I've got 20 odd years of experience, and that's why I do readings and stuff like that. But the simple way is just lead me and guide me. Just surrender, go, okay, show me how to be balanced. Put your hands together, focus the left and right hemispheres of the brain. This is, I can teach you the same stuff through quantum physics, which used to be the way I did it. And so I can explain it that way. It's left and right hemisphere, masculine, feminine, creative, and logic. And the meridians come together when you put your hands together in the middle and focus on that. Show me how to be balanced in my energy center. Imagine your body is in the middle, and it's like a wheel alignment on a car. So just practice that as many times. So I'm pushing myself. I'm leaning forward. I'm leaning back. Show me the center of my energy field. Yeah. Show me how to stand central in it. I don't know how, and this shit might not even be true. It might be crazy, but if it's not, show me how. That's a simple way of saying it.
Yep. Okay. Kristen Dooley, how can I approach dealing with my little guy's feelings, emotions when dealing with my ex, a narcissist? He was such a bully to us all, and now he has his time alone with them, and I worry so much about their fragile ages.
Yes. Well, look, it's tough. First of all, let's just say it's really tough, but changing those words from he is a narcissist, these create filters, and these don't allow you to see anything else. Yeah. So he acts like a narcissist. I'm not saying he is, by the way. Don't take this that way. Yeah. But by changing the filter, say he loves being a narcissist. Because when we put fixed words in there, he is a narcissist. Then we can't see past that. So even if he was a narcissist, say 80% of the time, we can't see the 20% of the time where he's a caring father and he would never let anything happen to the kids, if that's true. And also, you've got to know that the kids are guided, and the kids knew what they come here for, come from as well. They know they come from the divine. It's us that makes them unguided. It's our fears that they pick up on. So don't be fearful. Just keep what I do at times. If I get worried about my kids and Mine are adults now, so I have a whole different lot of worries. But I just say they're divinely guided and protected. Even though I'm not feeling it right now and I'm scared of it, I know that they are, and I don't know how, but I know that they're divinely guided and protected. I know that they chose this life just like I did, just like everybody else did. We chose our family. When I had a near-death experience when I was 5, and I tried to bail out then when I drowned at the local swimming pool, and I had to come back, I out of the body, I saw everything that was going to happen for the next 20 years. All the, where in our family there was all sorts of bad stuff, and I won't go into it. It was really, really bad. But my higher being or my older self said to myself in the tunnel, no, you got to go back. That's all going to be shit. He didn't say those words, but yeah, that's not going to be fun. But you're going to get through it, and you've got stuff you've got to do after that. And I somehow knew that and most of us do, if not all of us, know this is why we pick our parents and how we pick our parents, and we know what we're going to go through.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we volunteer for.
And, go from. That was a big, when I moved down from Sydney to Melbourne, I had similar concerns. I left my kids initially up there with my ex-wife. And through, I guess, guidance from our spirit guides, the Ascended Masters, I mean, they sort of told me, look, children up to a certain age, they're blessed and looked after, and so if ever you find yourself in doubt or fear, just tell yourself, my children are divinely guided and divinely protected, and just keep telling yourself that and keep telling yourself that. And so am I, because they are, and also as John said, like that, what got pointed out to me, they're here living the soul's plan that they chose when they, before they came back here in this life.
Yeah.
And so this is what we say, good luck, bad luck. You don't know the whole story. Yeah. We don't know the whole story, right? We don't know what they came here to do. Half the time, we don't even know what we came here to do. Right? Right? Most of the time, we don't even know, fuck you. We don't even know what we came here to do. So it really takes, a form of stepping back and sort of surrendering that to the divine, right?
Yeah.
To have them looked after.
And so one of the things you do, you just make the space, be the change. So if they are going through emotions, if they are getting manipulated, you don't even have to say anything. When they come back and spend time with you, just sit there and say it with your eyes, say it with your heart. I know how you feel. Let them cry it out. They'll get over it in seconds. One of the big things, I've got 6 children to 3 partners, and they're all adults now, but John's got 3.
I've got 3. Two teenagers.
We're used to these kids coming back and forward, and you see it in so many families, and they get into our vibration and they get into our patterns and our rules, and it takes them normally takes them a few days or up to a week, right? And then they go to the other parent and they get into their vibration and their rules, and then this is where the conflict comes, because it takes so long to get them back into your vibration. Normally, it takes so long to get them back into your vibration. And that's where we, as parents, we get frustrated, and especially back in the early days when I only got them 2 days a fortnight, by the time they'd leave, I'd just get them in sync with them, and then they'd be leaving again. Speaking of one of my sons, he's on here now listening to this, so he knows it quite well. So one of the things I do is just let them deal with the emotions without sort of going into it too much. So if you do feel like they're being manipulated by the spouse or whatever, if you do feel like they're being emotionally challenged or whatever, how you deal with their emotions, just say, look, I understand, is that yours? Tool number 2, who does that belong to?
Who does that belong to?
If they say, you're doing a bad thing, or you just say, is that what your heart feels? It's okay. You don't have to.
That's a great tool. I used to do that with my 5-year-old. My 5-year-old would come back and she'd repeat some of the things she maybe heard in her environment with her mum. And, I would sort of get down on her level, like on one knee or on both knees, and just, look at her and just say, how does that feel? How does that feel to you? How does that feel within your heart?
Do you believe that in your heart?
Do you believe that in your heart? And a lot of the times, she can just tell, right? And as John said, with the crying, sometimes she'd come back, and sometimes it'd be within the hour, sometimes it'd be within a day or 2 days. But a situation would arise and she'd start crying, and I would simply, rather than say anything to her, I would simply just hug her and just say it's okay to cry.
Yeah, give her permission.
Just give her permission to cry. Just say cry and get it out and let it out. Yeah. And that would be it.
Don't buy into it. Don't try and fix it.
Don't try and fix it. Yeah.
Don't make it right or wrong.
Yeah.
Don't try and say that's terrible. That's just go. Just is that what you believe in your heart? No. Okay. Cry and let it out. Okay, we're done now. Can we go play?
Yep.
And they just change.
That's it. Bang.
You can in the early days, I used to transform my kids in what used to take 2.5 days. It would take 2.5 hours by just doing that and not buying into it, not making it right or wrong. They listen. Half the time it's not the other parent saying anything. kids have got bionic hearing. They just pick out what they want to hear and they make up stuff from that. You know, they hear from the other room and the parents are talking to their friends about it. And, you know, we can't judge any of that. But we can make the space. My son's laughing.
Hey, Willie boy.
Will's got bionic hearing. He's even hearing it right now. So, yes, these are what we do. And then what we call vain imaginings. You know, this is what we make. We hear little bits up.
I hope you're sitting down.
And then we make up these things called what we now call vain imaginings.
Yeah.
So they're fantasies that we create. And they create energy around us and they blind us to reality, basically, and they take us out of the now. You know, all of these vain imaginings, we hear it, and we create imaginings. We think, this would be nice.
What was it? Was it fragile? I think it was. Oh, yeah. So, you know, you're worried about them having time alone, you know, about their fragile ages. So I'm guessing you're, you know, concerned about what he might say or how he might act or how they might be treated. Yeah. How much of that is true? How much do you actually know of that's true? I'm not saying that none of it's true or all of it's true.
It's
you know, and this is what we say, you know, we create these pictures and these stories in our minds about what we think the kids are going through or what we think the kids are hearing or we think how they've been treating. Do you actually know?
Yeah.
You know?
And you're calling it a fragile age, which is more of an influential age. But that's good because that means, you know, it takes a lot of programming. It takes a lot of repetition and effort to sow a lie into somebody's subconscious. It takes repetition after repetition after repetition. This is what the elites do. This is what all the negative people in power do. They have to spend billions of dollars to control us. And it takes minutes to bring the truth back. So if you can sit there in the truth, if you can sit there and you can undo all of that fucking programming, sometimes you have to wait. And sometimes you just undo it on a feeling level by letting them go through the motions. Is that what you feel? And then you have to wait because they've got their patterns to work out. They've got their so-called karma, which I don't like that word, but we use it. You know, and sometimes you just got to plant the seeds and you don't know when they're going to grow. This is what I did with my children when they were young. You know, I went through stages with different things with them and I just planted these seeds of consciousness. And sometimes it's hard to sit back and wait for the seeds to sprout. But then when they do and they come back and tell you when they're adults and you're like, it's just so rewarding. They're going, I really did this and I really did that. And it's just like, you know, because they have to choose when the weather's right for the seeds to germinate.
Okay. I'm not too sure how to pronounce this one, but I'll have a crack at it. Salotti. Left arch on the ankle, twist or sprain. I'm rushing around to get things done before I leave for overseas at the weekend. Is the left side symbolic of? Yeah,
left side symbolic of the feminine, of the spiritual aspect. So your left ankle is emotions, and the sprain or the strain is muscular. So you got guilt, you got control, and so ligaments are control and tendons. Anyway. So there's control issues in there, and there's a swelling and a bruising. So there's inflammation that's caused inflammation, obviously. So this is all you pushing too hard because of women, probably. If you're, where did you say he's going?
He didn't say where he's going, but he's leaving overseas.
He's leaving for overseas. So you're probably pushing. Maybe it's your mum, maybe it's your wife or your daughter. It'll be some female involved in why you're pushing yourself so hard and trying to make everything happen. Then you feel guilty, or you're trying to over control the way it is. So if it's more in the muscles, it's going to be guilt based more. If it's more in the ligaments, it's going to be control issues. So you know, and you're getting to the point where now you've strained it. It's just trying to tell you basically to slow down and start doing things your way, and be flexible because it is in the ankle, the arch of the foot. So this is if the arch of the foot's if you're getting flat-footed or things like that. This is caused by over worry, too much worrying. The stomach and spleen meridian get drained and can't hold things up. There's a lack of support there. So we'd have to delve into a little bit deeper to give you the real meanings, but that's just generally where it starts.
All right, Gloria, I hope you're still there, and I hope you're getting annoyed waiting for results. I have lung cancer, but I stay positive I'll get better. I did read your message, and I was guided to go past that, and I'm guessing it was because you have to post your second message, which was, where are we? Okay, I got overlooked again. Haha, that annoys me. Waiting for results.
So you're getting overlooked. So why are you getting overlooked, Gloria? Where are you overlooking yourself? You know, so what was it? Lung cancer?
Yeah, she's staying positive, but we asked what was annoying people.
So the lung cancer and the being overlooked are
waiting
both
for results.
You know,
so getting overlooked, waiting for results. I guess.
So you're lung cancer or lungs in general, not lung cancer, sorry, lungs in general. So when we smoke and stuff, lungs, the main meridian, the lungs and large intestine is the two meridians that go together, the yin and yang. And the main negative emotion that they store is grief. So are you overlooking your own grief? Do you try and help everyone else all the time and you overlook your own feelings? And, because, one person's grief does not have to be equal in size to another one's because of the circumstance, So my grief is not that big, but I went through lots of, with my family, there was pedophiles involved with my nephews and nieces, and there was killings and all sorts of stuff. But for another person, their grief might just be being ignored as a child, That doesn't mean their grief is going to be any bigger or smaller for that person. What one person can handle is different from another. So maybe you're overlooking your own emotions. And if you let the grief out, if you, with anything to do with the lungs, when you're stopping smoking, and guys, let us.
I said guilty. Fuck you.
When we laugh, guys, we're not laughing at you, please. This has happened. We've been accused of this a few times.
No, we're laughing.
It's symbolic.
I've just quit smoking.
It always bounces back in our face. So when we smoke cigarettes, we push the grief down. The liver and the kidney, the liver and gallbladder, that's got to do with anger. So when we drink alcohol, we repress the anger down. And it's old anger. It's old grief. Half the time we don't know what it's from. It can be from when we were 2 or 3 years old. It can be from when we were real little. And so when we stop smoking or we stop drinking, that shit bubbles back up to the surface, and then we get upset and we think, oh, now I'm going to cry for no reason.
So we're guilty.
Now I'm pussy. And so but if you learn to let that grief out, if you let yourself cry spontaneously and say, I don't know, and don't buy into it, you've probably processed all of this stuff on a consciousness level. Yeah. But the body hasn't processed it, and the subconscious hasn't processed it. So let the grief out. Stop overlooking your own grief, because the other people's grief is worse. To them, it's worse. To me, the killings and that I, with my friends and that's no more grief than somebody who's just been ignored as a child, who came from a wealthy, who come from a well-to-do family, or someone where there was more protection around. The grief level in the person is relative. So don't overlook your own emotions and feelings, especially with the lung cancer, and don't overlook your own needs. It's like lungs are, the positive emotion. It's breathing in life. It's enjoyment of life. It's glory. It's really exuberant about life. That's the positive emotion.
The holy breath.
The positive emotion for the liver when you stop suppressing the anger. The positive emotion is generosity of spirit and confidence. They all have a negative and a positive emotion that they store. And if you can release the emotions, the healing of the organs can happen so fast. I'm not saying will, but can often does.
Yes.
Can and often does happen almost spontaneously for some.
Okay. Kim has asked, how can you forgive someone who is not sorry or take responsibility for their actions?
Well, because you're not forgiving. You're not forgiving them. First of all, you're forgiving the situation. You're forgiving yourself for starters. You're forgiving yourself for not listening to your intuition, or you're forgiving yourself for judging it if it was something that you couldn't avoid if you're a kid or something. We're always guided out of these problems. Every accident I had this thought just before, and my soul was trying to tell me to go a different way, and I was like, that doesn't make sense, and I drove straight into the accidents. So the forgiveness, this is why the Bible says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Now, it should say the law, the universal law sorts things out, nature sorts things out. So if there is any balance that's required, if there is any justification, you can't know your own karma. You can't know every life you've lived. You can't know their karma. But what you can do is separate yourself from that. And the reason you forgive is so that otherwise, what's that saying, if you don't forgive, then it's like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to feel the pain. Expecting someone else to suffer when you're drinking the poison. Non-forgiveness is a poison, and it's really hard. This is what we say often.
And the other thing as well is that we need to look at how we reacted to that situation, and some of the time, we have this. I mean, for me personally, I used to think that this person hurt me, when in fact this person just made choices that created a situation that I reacted to. And that I then deemed bad, or that I then deemed that I was hurt, and so it's more, don't forget to look at that side of it too.
So there's always two sides, and that's so take responsibility for your actions. You didn't listen to your intuition for you to be there for somebody to mistreat you, to do that or whatever. Our intuition, and it's subtle, and you don't judge yourself again for this because that'll just become more judgment. It's like, okay, so you take responsibility for your actions of not listening to that little subtle voice inside yourself, of not listening to how that, and so once you take responsibility for that, and then you forgive, you don't forget, you forgive without forgetting, and you choose not to be around that, and you forgive yourself for not listening to that, for your actions of not listening to that subtle voice, to that quiet voice that's inside of all of us, that talks to us, that tries to keep us safe, and it's about growth. So forgiveness is about releasing the person, not condoning their action, and then the universe or nature can sort it out if it needs to, in this lifetime or the next. You know, how do you know that? What did she say, that they're not taking
responsibility for their actions? Yeah, they're not sorry.
They're not sorry.
Yeah,
they're not sorry. But how do you know that he's not going to be in 20 years? You want to hold on to this. You want to hold on to this for 20 years, and then he gets sorry, and then you can't do nothing about it. Then you've got to carry it. And it's that non-forgiveness has turned into cancer or something else. You know, that's why you forgive. It's to free yourself, not to free them. That's between them and their God, and yours is between you and your God. You take responsibility for your actions of not listening, not taking action to that quiet, subtle voice inside. And you take responsibility for your actions of not letting go of the forgiveness, and say it's damn hard to forgive. It's like, this is how my way to do it is, obviously I don't forgive this. Obviously I'm holding on to guilt, or I'm holding on to judgment. I can't even say resentment anymore, because that's the one I was working on, that negative emotion before. I really, really want to forgive this person, and I don't know how. Show me. But it's got to be genuine. You cannot say I forgive, and it just be mental, and it doesn't.
And that doesn't mean don't start asking to be shown, right? You can't just go from where you're at to being genuine. You can, don't get me wrong, but for a lot of people, and I know myself included, it takes time, and it happens bit by bit. And the more you ask Spirit, show me how to forgive this person, show me how to
sometimes you've got
negative emotion. You just keep working on it, and as you do that over a course of whatever days, hours, weeks, stuff then comes up to help you see different aspects of that, right? And then you slowly work through that forgiveness to get to the point of genuine forgiveness.
Right? So the forgiveness, this is why the Bible, nearly everything in the Bible is true if you take it all symbolically. How many times should I forgive? 70 times 7. We have 7 chakras. We've got to forgive 70 times in each chakra. So that all that means is that we've got to keep repeating the forgiveness, because we've been repeating the vengeance or the resentment or whatever it is we're holding against that person, whatever the negative emotion is that we're holding, that we don't give the forgiveness to them. That's on silent, like repeat all day long. So you've said that 1 million times in the subconscious. It's going to take you 1 million
times.
So you're going to have to say it quite a few times, a lot of times, to get to the real forgiveness. You've got to. That's why they say 70 times 7. You've got to work. It actually works through on layers, through the chakras, through the levels, if you want to call it, through the dimensions. That's the word I'm looking for. Each chakra is reflective of each dimension, and you've got to let it go through many dimensions. So repeating it, I don't know how. I really want to. I know this is unhealthy, and if you really want to get some basic motivation, it's costing your kids and the people who are positive around you, and it's also letting them get away with it twice. Now they're hurting you twice because you're drinking poison, trying to make them suffer. So these are the motivations we use to get to the forgiveness.
Hey, Jose, I've seen a bunch of questions. I'm going to get to you soon. I'll just a couple more beforehand. I'm being guided. Kim, hi guys. My hips have been hurting a lot lately, even when I'm laying down. Any help, please?
So the hips, generally speaking, this is the base chakra and navel chakra. I'm thinking it feels more base chakra. So this is a lot of negative issues. So if you can just give us a quick update on the message. Does it feel more in the bones?
This was Kim Gresham.
Kim, does it feel more in the bones, in the muscles, or in the ligament? Don't worry about where it actually is.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? It's in the bones, in the muscles, which feels sore, which part of the hips does it feel, bones and that. Because if it's the bones, there's a resentment. And there's a resentment build up about any tribe. So the base chakra has got to do with tribal stuff. So any group of people, 3 or more people. If it's navel chakra area, it's more one-on-one issues. Any one-on-one issues you've got with individual people, that's going to build up a lot of negative emotions in there. So if it's the bones, if they're the part that's feeling sore, you've got a lot of resentment build up about your base, about your survival, about your money and your shelter and your base survival things, and maybe groups, the family, the government. These are all different groups that we have, tribes, if you want to call them that. That's where those negative emotions build up. But if it's the hips, if it's the ligaments and the inflexibility, you're trying to over control the tribe. And if it's more left and right, it's going to involve more males or females. If it's left or right, so all these things will give you indications. And guys, as I said, it's a lot easier with feedback. This is really brief, just giving you a rough overview of it. When we do readings with people, half an hour, an hour, we can really get down to some issues, and then you start releasing the negative emotions, and the joy you feel and the sensations that can come in when we make space. It's like one of the ways I was explaining it this morning, or it was explained to me. It's like you've got your computer open and you've got 70 or 80 tabs open
in your browser,
and you've got 70 or 80 tabs open, and this is the non-forgiveness. And then you're wondering why you can't function. You're wondering why you're scared and can't get out into the world. You're wondering why your business never works. The computer's going slow. The subconscious mind, the computer, you've got to come to resolution with these things. You've got to work out how to forgive. You've got to work out how to, and the way you do it, you ask. You go, okay, show me how to get finalized with this. Show me how to have closure with these things. This is why we teach the symbolic meaning of it. Every religion has told us this, but it's always meant to be symbolic. It's an inner journey.
And when we don't ask, we're almost cutting ourselves off from spirit, right? And from our higher self, right? Yeah. We're trying to do it, trying to do it ourselves, right? As our little self, right?
And judging it,
and then judging it, and then creating VI, and then fucking your life up, right? Yeah. So the very act of belief and faith, and acknowledging that there is something there. There is a higher self, there is a spirit, there is a God, and asking for help, because they're more than willing to give us help, right? That's a big part of what it is about, right? Is asking.
And so it's us doing the work, each of us doing the work and making the change within. This is what be the change. Started with Gandhi, start saying popular. Be the change means all you got to look is the things you want to change in the outside, and work out symbolically where they are on the inside, and start changing them. And the change will happen in the world. It doesn't take many of us to do that. The more, it's critical mass. It's something like 1%. It's ridiculous. People for things that change overnight in the outside world. It only takes 1% of the population to change on the inside for that to be reflected.
Okay, Jose, back to you. How can I change my words so things go better for me? Like an example, I'm selling a piece of furniture. The guy buying it didn't come, and I got negative and started saying I'm going to never sell it. And so now I'm just feeling anxious or anxiety.
So this is what we call filters. We create filters in the brain by having fixed or permanent words. So the word never. So the way you do this, you can't go from I'll never sell it to I will sell it, right? Because then you've got two opposing forces, and the negative one will work out stronger. So you work with the same sentence. It seems like I'll never sell it. It looks like I'll never sell it. And then you go, but hang on, I've sold things in the past that I thought. Then you just change it slowly. Go back to the original statements, whatever statements we make, and just change them. Put the words in like it seems like I'll never sell it. And also the other thing is you've got to get the default. The universe is always working in your favor. So when things seem to get blocked, or when things that get blocked seem to be bad, you've got to change that thought that the universe is actually always guiding me to. So, you look back at all the other times. Oh, what about that time when I didn't sell that? And then 6 months later, I found out I needed it still, or somebody else come along and paid more for it. You got to try and put these things together. But your words, you're correct. You got to start changing the words.
It starts with the words, yeah.
So change it to seems like, it appears. Put these words in with the fixed words, and then the subconscious mind can start seeing through. It's like putting a filter on the camera. It's like putting a red filter on. You can't see any red.
Yeah.
You take the red filter off, and the red was already there.
So something like, it seems like, I might not sell this piece of furniture, but I don't know. Maybe the universe is actually lining me up with someone else that will value this piece of furniture more than the person that was going to turn up today.
Maybe it's
maybe for whatever reason I might need it in a week's time, and then I'll sell it a week later. Maybe I'm actually going to get more money for it when the next person comes along.
And maybe the thing that maybe, like when we're in a negative, when we're in what we call a negative spiral or negative vortex, the thing is not to move, not to make actions. And it's difficult in our age because money has become a survival thing for us in the Western world. It never used to be, but it is now, because it covers our food, our shelter, and our water. So these are survival things. So we push ourselves. And the thing is to not make a decision and not push when we're unclear. Is actually to stop and try and go within and go, okay, just stop it all. I've got no fucking idea what to do. Just stop and wait for the guidance. Okay, don't make a move while you're doing that. Just say, yeah, that seems like it's not going to work. Seems like my life's going to fuck up, but I don't care. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to sit here and wait. And that's where we use our will. And we use our will not to make a move when we are unclear, when we are unsure.
Okay. Nicole, I like this one. I've just had a car crash over the weekend. I'm laying here in hospital. I'm not in any pain. I was lucky. Maybe I'm here for another reason. Maybe you're there because you need to just stop and slow down in life. Maybe the universe was telling you, fucking slow down, sit down, relax. I'm going to put you somewhere where you can just do nothing.
And what happens in hospital? You get taken care of. This is where old people get addicted to it. Maybe you're not letting enough people help you. Maybe this is where the nurses and that are coming to serve you. You're probably a helper who helps everyone, and you never receive any help for yourself. You never got anyone. Basically, you never received the help. You're always giving it. You're too busy. And if the accident was in the front of the car, then your car represents your direction and where you're going in life, both your physical and your spiritual direction. So it's a symbolic version of that. So if it's the front of the car, you need to stop pushing so much and step back a little bit and look at your direction before you make a decision. If it's a hit in the back of the car, you need to start moving forward.
Getting kicked up the arse.
Yeah, it's like it's time to take some actions and start moving in certain parts of your direction. If it's a left, you need to look more at the spiritual or feminine aspects around you. If it's a right, it's more the physical male aspects. So these things are indications. We drive ourselves in. It's weird when you start to see it because it's like the way the universe works and these subtle things, how it can draw these random events, and we're doing it. Don't put yourself as a victim to this. Our soul, our infinite being, our Christ consciousness is there doing it and conspiring against us as well. We're conspiring against ourselves to make this happen. It's like so that we do get the message. It's like there's nothing bad, there's nothing negative, but thinking makes it so. So there's no thing that's bad. There's nothing is like bad or negative or positive or good by itself, but our thinking will make it positive or negative or bad or good. So there's no event, there's no action that's bad or good by itself.
Belinda, would love a little guidance on my lower back on the right side. Can you maybe give us a little bit more? Like, what does it feel? I mean, we can tell you about that particular place, but does it feel tender?
Does it feel
is it stiff?
Does it feel right on the back? Generally speaking, lower back issues are things about not following our feelings, not allowing our own emotions in. So if it's really lower back, it's base chakra, and we're holding ourselves back because we're holding on beliefs from the past. So if it's right at the back, it feels like it's on our back where we need to work. We're trying to bring past beliefs into the now, and they're holding us back. So there can be guilt there. If it's muscular, there can be resentment there. If it's bone, there can be, if it's ligaments or a combination of all these things. But we're bringing this and we're holding ourselves back and we're not listening to our emotions. We're giving ourselves, this is our threefold path training that we do. So we've got thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We've got mind, body, soul. We've got Father, Son, Holy Ghost. We've got all the threefold different ways of explaining it. But the emotions, the lower three chakras, the soul, the feelings, that's our pleasure centers. We've got to give ourselves an equal amount of time to explore our pleasures, to explore our feelings, which is our courage and our ability to strive and go for more, and our wisdom, the feminine, the upper three chakras. those three different aspects, those three chakras, that one and that one, are the threefold that are supposed to come together in the heart of hearts, which then allows our Christ consciousness or our Buddhahood to unfold. That's the end game for everyone, whether you know it or not. Whether you do it in this life or you do it in a million years' time, that's what you're going to do. That's what we're all here to do at the end of the day. And that's why when we do it, when we go inside, this is why we can forgive. This is why we can do all this. Because when you do release it, when you do go through your own forgiveness and you release all the emotions, that's how you can let everyone else go, because you know they're going to have to do it at some stage, whether they do it in this life or not.
Thank you, Kristen. She says, wow, you guys are great. I avoided you in the past because you looked a little rat baggish. I love that. Thank you.
Well, the rat baggish allows us to get to a much broader audience that, that may miss out on this. This is why, this is one of the things when I first started doing the healings and that when I was in my 20s, I was like, I grew up in a rough area. I grew up in a household type area. And, and I was like, how can I do healings? People were calling me a miracle healer. They're like, you're like Jesus Christ. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing what this teacher's doing because I needed to do it for myself because I was so bad. I was so, stuffed up.
Yeah.
And I needed the healing. I needed the forgiveness. And that's why I was guided to do it. And that's what made it come through me easier, because I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think I deserved it. In fact, I thought I was the least worthy to do it. And that's why it can come through so clearly through me, because I didn't have any resistance, right or wrong, good or bad. I'm like, okay, I need it. And the doctors couldn't fix me and I needed to be fixed. So that's what allowed it to come through. And then they said to me, you'll be able to talk to people that won't listen to other people because you are a bit of a rat bag.
Shazza Roland, what is kinesiology used for, John and John?
Kinesiology is basically our tool number one. So kinesiology is used to talk directly to the soul, to the subconscious, to the infinite being, but it's just muscle testing. So they test the muscle gets strong or the muscle gets weak. That's the same as if it's light, it's right. If it's heavy, it's a lie.
Yeah.
So when you expand, if you get lighter, that's enlightenment. When it feels light, and that's the truth. The truth will set you free. That's another version of it. That's what the Bible said. That's if you feel light, it's right. That's kinesiology. But sometimes because we have the left and right, and because our energy system can go yin or yang, it can go forward or backwards. With kinesiology, you've got to test it each time. So sometimes a strong muscle is a yes, and sometimes a weak muscle is a yes.
Yeah.
So this is why a proper kinesiologist will test each time. You can just use your fingers to separate it. Show me a yes. Show me a no. Okay, I can pull through on a no. A yes, I can't. It's strong. So, but that's just the same as does it feel light or right? So when you talk to people, they'll expand or they contract, right? And that's the basis of intuition. This is
basically what we teach is tool number one, right?
That's intuition 101 right there.
Right.
That's the core of it, and that's what it's all involved in. There's so many different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
The whole body is 70% muscle or something.
Yeah.
So why test my finger muscle when I can just watch all the muscles in my body?
Yeah. We also use our body as a pendulum. You know, like forward is a yes at times, back is a no, or vice versa. And as John said, it's really important to always check in with your energy and see where you're at, because sometimes you might be used to just going forward is a yes, forward is a yes, when actually it's flipped because for whatever reason.
So you got your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. So one is your rest and digest, the other one is fight or flight. So when you get angry, you go into fight or flight, and that's the liver kicks in and switches your meridian channels the other way around, and your energy goes forward. So you're going to get the opposite answer. So you've always got to have a default to check for your answers. So just because normally leaning back is a yes, sometimes if your energy's flipped and going the other way, leaning back's a no. So you go, show me a yes, show me a no each time, So body, show me what feels like a yes, show me what feels like a no. And then you've got the one, which is the harder one. As you get the advanced in this, you get a truth with a lie attached, which is basically advertisement. That's advertisement central. When I've done advertising, when I did car sales, all marketing and advertising is truth with a lie attached, because the truth will set you free. And infinite truth, financial freedom will make your life better. Well, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? But you'll only get it at the Commonwealth Bank. There's the lie attached to the truth, and that slips into the subconscious mind. And this is what marketing and advertising is about when it's done that way. Not all marketing and advertising, let me correct myself, but that's the ones that are using it to try and have power over instead of power with. So people will tell you the truth, that'll open your mind up, and if you don't stay vigilant and you don't keep paying attention, so half of that was the truth and half was the lie. So sometimes you'll expand and contract a bit. So okay, which part of that sentence was the truth and which part was the lie? And that's what you should be doing with every frigging thing we're saying.
With everything.
Listen to everything we're saying and check with your own intuition.
And that's what we do with each other, right? Like we have these conversations, you know, all day, every day. And at times, you know, John may say something and I'll be like, oh, you're kind of on the right path, or he'll say it to me, you're kind of on the right path, kind of not there.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of feels light in some aspect, and then that's how we hunt, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we hunt using our intuition. It's like, it's kind of there, it's kind of there. And then when we get it, both of us will just be like, fuck, that's like, super light. Sometimes it's so fucking light, we can't even read it. It's so fucking light.
Yeah.
We're sitting there going, I think that's it. That feels like it.
It feels like it. I
feel like I'm floating.
Doped up on morphine. So when you hit the truth and when you hit those, the meridians and the chakras will run through the glands, so you will get serotonin release. The hypothalamus will release, and you'll get the love hormone flowing. All these hormones will flow when you get real big openings and real big clearings. And this is the fun of it. This is the joy of it. You get these, you know, people talk about their hairs and that standing on end and shivers down their spine. I used to say, and they go, oh, wow, this must be true. Look, my hairs are standing on end. I'm like, that doesn't happen to you every day, 10 times a day. Don't you get shivers down your spine 10 times a day? I'm like, I have to remember. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember when that used to happen to me once a year. Like, you get so used to it. It's like, oh, yep, there's another answer. There's another answer. In the end, you don't even have to think about it because you just feel the sensations. You're getting serotonin release, the hypothalamus, the thalamus. You're getting all these hormones releasing all the time, and you're getting sensations running through the body. It's free drugs, you know. It's just, you know, you walk around high all day, and you know sometimes you get it like I get today, and you just can't. Well, there we go. And it starts to flow down that sort of other nadi down my back.
That one.
The sensation tingles inside, and it's orgasmic, and you can't speak. Yeah. I mean, but you know. It's always, you know, this is oneness versus duality. Duality, fear, negativity, that's the separation. That's the problem. Oneness is the solution. So oneness includes everything and excludes nothing. Oneness does not mean sameness. Oneness enjoys the uniqueness. So oneness means we're all here together, but we're all unique. And it accepts everyone's uniqueness, but it still functions all as oneness. Two-ness or duality is separation. That's when we have two powers. There's God and the devil. There's right and wrong. That's when we create fear. That's when we create problems, and we create them. The universe, God, whatever you class as the creator, did not create two powers. There is only one power. Man created the negative. Man through our wrong thought, and that therefore we give anything that negative that we think has power is only we've given it to. If we withdraw from that and align with the universe and go back into oneness. Don't matter how many of them, there could be 1,000 people putting some belief into some negativity. If you stay in oneness, it can't touch you. It just literally will go around you. It'll try, but it'll just be like water off a duck's back. You know, so, and this is why we've got to come back to oneness all the time. The threefold flame, the threefold path that we do, it's still about oneness. It's about just looking at, you know, even the right and wrong, the masculine, feminine, the duality. It's still one. It's the yin and yang symbol is one symbol. It's just the reflection. Like, is night and day, can you separate night and day? It's not. It's just, that's the planet revolving.
Two parts of the day.
It's not two parts. It's just a constant revolving. It's just different amount of light, different amount of, you know, light and sound. So, you know, these are the things that we teach, but it all comes back to oneness. The truth will set you free. Oneness is the truth. Anything that's negative is our thoughts are wrong. Our feelings are wrong. There's only one thing to correct, and that is always our thoughts or our feelings, the way we see the world. Yeah. And that's it. And it's as simple as that, and it's as difficult as that.
We had a good chat about that the other night, didn't we?
Yes. Down at it's so simple, and it's so hard and scary at the same time. Yeah. You know, it's very simple because it's just a matter of surrendering and letting go. And it's very tough because it's a matter of surrendering and letting go. So thank you, guys. If you want to get private readings.
Thanks for hanging through the video, trying to reconnect. That's bad.
That's his issue.
That's my issue, apparently.
And so, yeah, we've got the links at the top there. If you want private readings, we've got our web page, bequest.me. We got,
I just dropped a link there if you want to drop us a message to book a session. We do sessions 2-on-1, 1-on-1.
And so
tickles you fancy.
we're opening a shop in Melbourne in
South Yarra
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks time.
So we'll be running
Get on
more
down,
classes
say hello.
there. So we'll see you next Monday night.
Alrighty, guys.
Thanks,
Catch you
guys.
later.
God bless.